Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. The events discussed in this video took place in the United Kingdom. On July 19, 2017, a 21-year-old young woman was admitted to a hospital in southwest London. Her name has been changed to protect her identity, and you'll soon understand why. For now, we will call her Mia. Mia required urgent medical attention because of a cut wound in her neck, but as it turned out, this serious injury was not the most terrible thing that had happened to her. She asked the doctors to call the police, and when the officers arrived, she told them a story that soon spread throughout the country. When the paramedics treated Mia, they allowed the police to talk to her. She informed the officers that someone had kidnapped her and her friend Celine. According to her, the kidnapper brought them to a house where he entered into intimate contact with them against their will. We're using the phrase intimate contact here to avoid getting flagged by YouTube's censorship moderation. After the criminal got everything he wanted, he decided to get rid of Mia and her friend. And if Mia was still alive, Celine, unfortunately, wasn't. Mia remembered the address where the kidnapper was holding them and gave it to the investigators. Shortly after, the police cordoned off the house in Kingston. Upon entering, the officers saw a chest freezer on the ground floor. Dark red spots on and around the freezer made it clear that it was not being used for storing food. Breaking the padlock and opening it, the police saw a woman's body lying inside. Further investigation of the house showed that no one else was there. It meant the perpetrator had been long gone on the run. 20-year-old Celine Dukran was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of her death was a laceration to the neck. The forensic examination confirmed that Celine had contact with a man before her death. Experts found DNA samples of the perpetrator on her body. Celine was born in London in 1997. She was the eldest of her parents' 3 children. Before her death, she worked in a bank in London and was also studying to become a makeup artist. According to the British press, the house in which Celine died is worth £1.5 million, and as it turned out, the owners had nothing to do with the crime. The owners wanted to turn this 6-bedroom house into 2 households with separate entrances. They hired builders, gave them the keys to the house, and moved to another house. When the police found Celine's body, none of the builders were there, and the repairs were unfinished. It gave reason to assume that one of the builders was involved in the crime. But how was Celine connected to this? The police issued a statement saying, "We are doing everything we can to fully understand the circumstances of this despicable attack on 2 young women. The death of the 19-year-old woman is being treated as murder, and the attack on the 21-year-old is being treated as attempted murder. We are appealing to anyone with information to contact us." The key witness was Mia, a young woman who managed to survive. She asked for privacy, and the police never revealed her real name. Mia told the police at the hospital that both she and Celine knew the man who kidnapped them. She gave his name to the police, and they immediately put the man on the wanted list. Mia also said there was another man involved. He had a mask on his face. She didn't know him. This man was only involved in the kidnapping and had nothing to do with everything that happened after it. London is among the leading cities in terms of the number of surveillance cameras installed. By reconstructing the chronology of events leading up to the crime, the police have obtained recordings from cameras that give a clearer picture of what happened. Before I name the perpetrator, let's look at some of the footage released to the public. The first recording confirms that the perpetrator was preparing for what he had done. You can see how he takes the freezer from his blue pickup truck to the house, where he will later bring the captives. The following footage shows the morning of the abduction. According to the police, when the blue pickup truck appeared on the camera, the girls were already tied up in the trunk. The police learned from Mia that the person they were looking for was 33-year-old Mujahid Arshid. He was given the keys to the house where he was supposed to make repairs, but instead, he committed a crime there. When Arshid brought the captives to the house, he forced them to please him. Even though all 3 were familiar with each other, Celine and Mia's pleas for mercy did not help them. Arshid dealt with Celine in cold blood, after which he placed her body in the freezer. Mia, realizing begging for mercy would not help her, decided to change her tactics. When Arshid grabbed her and wounded her neck, she started saying that she loved him and wanted to run away with him. Mia said she would not tell anyone about what had happened. She said she wanted to create a family with him. In essence, she said what she thought he wanted to hear. And it worked. He believed her and stopped his assault. Deciding to keep Mia alive, Arshid went with her to meet his brother and informed him that they wanted to run away together. But seeing Mia's condition, namely that she was near death, his brother took her to the hospital, where she asked the doctors to call the police. Realizing what was going on, Arshid decided to go on the run. He drove to his house, packed his things, took his documents, and told his wife he needed to leave. Then he went by car to the New Malden station in South London. After leaving the car near the station, Arshid boarded the train to Folkestone, about 80 miles from London. In Folkestone, he appeared on camera at a gas station where he went in to buy something. Then after leaving the gas station, he went to a nearby hotel. He planned to leave the country, and for this he was going to cross the English Channel to France by ferry, but did not manage to do so. The police arrested Arshid at a Holiday Inn in Folkestone. When formally charged by police, Arshid told them to look at the evidence and keep an open mind. He had the wallets with Celine and Mia's documents, the keys to the padlock on the freezer, and Celine's phone. After his arrest, Arshid was taken to London. There's another crucial and shocking detail about Celine's death. She was dating a guy she loved and was going to marry, but her parents disapproved of her choice and wanted Celine to break up with him. Because of this, she got into a fight with her parents. Just a few weeks before her death, she moved out of her parents' house and moved in with her aunt and uncle. Celine's uncle was none other than Mujahid Arshid. This recording captures the moment when Arshid kidnapped his niece Celine from his own home after waiting for his wife to leave for work. Moreover, Mia, whose real name has never been revealed and who will even testify in court while behind a screen, also lived in Arshid's house and was kidnapped along with Celine. We can assume that Mia and Arshid were related, but who they were to each other remains unknown. Her story also has many frightening details that raise a lot of questions. According to police statements, the first intimate contact between Arshid and Mia was in 2011, when she was only 13 years old. And the girl told her parents about it. At the family meeting, Arshid denied everything, and it almost came to a fight. Someone called the police, and when the officers arrived, none of the girl's relatives said what the conflict was about. As a result, the family believed Arshid, not the girl. As the police stated, after this, he forced her into intimacy every time she appeared in his house, telling her that there's nothing wrong with that. During the investigation, the police found even more proof that Arshid was preparing for the crime in advance. After studying the history of his internet search, detectives found that the man was a fan of John George Haig, an English serial criminal who took the lives of 6 victims. Arshid had looked up sulfuric acid online and even set up the email address ineedanacidbath@space.com. Haig, who disposed of the bodies of his victims with concentrated sulfuric acid, was hanged in August 1949. Arshid could not get sulfuric acid and thus decided to use the chest freezer for his crime. It also became known that 4 years before the crime, Arshid had already come to the attention of the police. Back then, he started to correspond with a man on one of the adult forums, and the latter turned out to be an undercover police officer. Arshid had sent this policeman a photo of Mia and asked if he would like to have intimate contact with this 17-year-old virgin. When the officer asked who was in the photo, Arshid replied that it was his girlfriend, whom he was keeping for the right moment. He also wrote that people like her deserve to be taken by force. After reading such statements, the police called Arshid for questioning. However, he stated that the author of all these messages was not him, but a person who used to work for him and had access to his computer. As a result, unfortunately, no further action was taken by the police. During the trial that began in February 2018, even more details of this terrible crime became known. As Arshid's accomplice, the police arrested 28-year-old Vincent Tapu, to whom Arshid transferred a certain amount of money a few days before the crime. Mujahid Arshid, 33, was consumed with jealousy when he dragged 20-year-old Celine Dukran from the shower, binding and gagging her before tossing her into the trunk of his pickup truck. The Old Bailey court heard he was obsessed with Celine and another woman and hatched a plot to kidnap and kill them after learning both had boyfriends. Prosecutor Crispin Aylett said that shortly before she died, Celine had fallen out with her parents, who disapproved of her Muslim boyfriend Omar, who's from Libya, believing she should be dating a Pakistani man. She went to live with her uncle, Arshid. Arshid enlisted a builder colleague, Vincent Tapu, 28, to help abduct the women on July 19th, the day after a family meeting where Celine was pressured to end her relationship with her boyfriend. Although they agreed to stop seeing each other, no one could have been sure that they meant to keep their word, said prosecutor Crispin Aylett. The following morning, taking advantage of the uncertainty surrounding Celine's position, the defendant put his plan into action. Aylett claimed that Arshid and Tapu, wearing gloves and balaclavas, stuffed socks into the women's mouths and secured them with tape, then tied their hands and feet before wrapping them in the builder's dust sheet. Arshid allegedly grabbed a handful of Celine's underwear before he and Tapu bundled the two women into the trunk of the car. Already alone and separated from his accomplice, Arshid took Celine and Mia to the house he was renovating, tied them to the pipes in the utility room, and then forced both of them into intimacy separately in an upstairs bedroom. Mia, the surviving victim of Mujahid Arshid, testified from behind a screen that she was tormented by constant flashbacks and nightmares caused by Celine's death. She said, "We now all know what this evil person has done. Words cannot describe how much I miss her. Hearing the helpless screams and seeing the fear in Celine's eyes that day, the terrifying visions and muffling sounds will never go away. Hearing Celine being killed stops me from closing my eyes and going to sleep like a normal person. The constant flashbacks and nightmares prevent me from moving on. If I have more than a few moments alone, the flashbacks and screams come back to haunt me. I don't even like to look at myself in the mirror anymore, as the scarring is a constant reminder of what Celine and I went through. My dignity, autonomy, and self-respect have all been compromised as a result of the heinous crimes against myself and Celine. My faith in myself and my faith in the world has been decimated. I am still receiving treatment for my physical injuries." She told the court, "He said, 'Now you've got 10 minutes to live and your body will shut down.' I was trying to play dead. He molested Celine's body while she was dead, and then he molested me, thinking I was dead. He's such a psycho. I sat up, and he said, 'How have you got so much energy?' I started saying the things he wanted to hear. 'I love you. We can run away together. We can be happy together. We can have a family.'" Arshid had brought the freezer to place in the house so no one would find the bodies until after he had fled the country. When Arshid's wife demanded to know where their niece was on WhatsApp, Arshid initially told her, "How do I know? She's the one that ran off." She replied, "You would stoop that low." Arshid then said, "Whatever I may be, you made me, I'll call you from Pakistan." But when his wife told him not to, and that he was dead to her, he retorted, "So is Celine apparently." Arshid is said to have gathered clothes and other items belonging to the two women and put them in a suitcase. It is believed that he wanted to make it look like they were running away. After his arrest at a Holiday Inn in Folkestone, the police examining his laptops discovered pictures of both victims and a bank payment to co-accused Vincent Tapu. Internet searches included chest freezers for sale, at what temperature does the human body freeze, and can a person freeze to death? Arshid also allegedly researched strong painkillers and sulfuric acid and Googled acid bath murderer. It led him to the Wikipedia page about John George Haig. Despite a lot of evidence against him, including fingerprints at the crime scene and his DNA on Celine's body, Arshid pleaded not guilty. Moreover, he staged a spectacle at the trial and stated that it was not he who took Celine's life, but Mia. He claimed that both Mia and Celine desperately wanted to get intimate with him, and when he satisfied them both, Mia became so mad with jealousy that she took Celine's life. But no one believed him. All the evidence indicated that only he was responsible for this crime. The jury deliberated for 14 hours before delivering the guilty verdicts. On February 14, 2018, the court sentenced Mujahid Arshid to 4 life sentences. After 40 years, he will have the opportunity to apply for parole. After sentencing, Arshid requested to say one thing, but Mr. Justice Edis, who had described him as an extremely dangerous man, refused. His co-defendant, Vincent Tapu, was acquitted of all charges, which included the kidnapping of both women, false imprisonment, and possession of a firearm with intent. The police and press are defining this murder as an honor killing. But there is no honor in killing. It's a case of domestic violence and murder committed by cowards with no sense of honor or respect for others. Celine Dukran was exercising her right as an individual to pursue a relationship, something she should have every right to do as an independent woman. Her faith and religion, although separately mentioned in mainstream news articles, do not endorse or encourage violence toward women to maintain any kind of honor. Speaking after the verdict, the family of the survivor agreed that the crime was not an honor killing. They added, "Mujahid Arshid tried to destroy the life of the surviving victim ever since she met him. He has manipulated and lied repeatedly and continued this throughout the trial. Mujahid Arshid persistently fabricated the truth and attempted to deceive the courts, and the same can be said of those that have supported him during the course of this trial." Share your opinion about this case in the comments, and thank you for watching this video to the end.